Hi everybody, this is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy. Welcome to lesson number 65. In this lesson, we will reintroduce the student to the concept of schwa. Let's begin by setting up the table. You'll need your top 160 sight word list, the sight word study method instruction sheet, the student's sight word card pack, some blank cards for introducing new sight words, a highlighter, markers, and some pencils. For the short vowel drill, you'll need the teacher instruction sheet, the keyword pictures, and the keyword sentence. Remember that once these sounds are mastered, this drill is discontinued. You take it out of the lesson. By this point, most people will have it taken out. You'll also need the phonemic awareness instruction sheet and the colored tiles for that part of the lesson. Then you'll have the visual drill and auditory drill instruction sheets and card pack for the student. For the syllable card drill, you'll have to have this one cut out in advance and ready to go on the table. You'll need the magnetic letter tile drills for reading and spelling. You'll need the teacher instruction sheets and the cookie sheet with the magnetic letter tiles spread in a rainbow shape. You'll need the syllable pounding instruction sheet, the new phoneme grapheme kinesthetic discovery sheet, and the sheets for the lesson, which include the scooping syllables worksheet, and I've got the answer key there for the teacher as well. And you'll need the single word list, the short story that the student will read that's controlled text, and the 3 sentences for the writing portion of the lesson. In addition, you'll need to set up 2 drills. Now these ones you already have cut out because you used these 2 drills in lesson number 50. So refer back to that lesson to get these drills. And if you need to cut them out again because you've lost the pieces, well, so be it. But those are the 2 drills that you'll be using. Schwa on the first syllable and schwa on the second syllable. In addition to all of that, you might have a timer set up on the table. And you'll need that timer if you've introduced a fluency element to the lesson. You'll need to do that because the Orton Gillingham method deals with phonemic awareness and decoding, but it does not cover fluency. So when the student gets to the point where they have to work on fluency, you have to add a secondary program. Let's begin with the sight word study method. Student, you'll need your card pack for this one. So take out your sight words and read through each card. When you read a word correctly, you'll put a check mark in the corner of the card. Teacher, you're ready with blocking strategies in case the student encounters difficulties. When the student's finished reading, the student hands the card pack to the teacher, and then it's the teacher's turn to read. Teacher, you will read each card and the student will write down the words. When the student writes down a word correctly, use the other corner of the card to put a check mark. Afterwards, discuss if you think any of these words have been mastered, and if they have, you can remove them from the card pack. Then, if there's time permitting, you can introduce a new sight word. Now it's time for the short vowel drill. If the student has already mastered these sounds, then you will discontinue this. You will not have it in the lesson anymore. They don't need the drill. If it still is needed, then the student will take out the keyword pictures and the keyword sentence. With 2 fingers, they'll trace the keyword shape and say the keyword apple, and then underline it and say ah. And then do that as many times as the teacher says is necessary, and then move on to the next picture. Once you're done all of those, then you'll take out the keyword sentence. Read through the words in the sentence, stretching out the vowel sounds as you do it. Let's do the phonemic awareness drill. Student, you'll need your colored tiles for this one. Your word is me. Can you repeat that word? I might say, can you pass the ball to me? I'd like you to build the word me with your colored tiles, and then tap it and say it. Did you put down 2 different colored tiles for e, me? If you did, that's right. Now touch the tile for me. Change the into a t and tap it and say it. Did you say tea? If you did, that's correct. Now I'd like you to find the E in tea. change the E into an A sound. Okay, now tap it and say it. Did you get tay? If you did, that's right. That A is the long A sound. Let's change it to the short A sound of A for apple. So if you change the A into an A, what would be the new word? Did you say ta? If you did, that's right. Let's add a babysitter at the end. Let's add a p at the end to form a closed syllable. Now tap all three and say it. Did you get tap? I will turn on the tap. If you did, that's right. Now I'd like you to grab a new color and call it Put it just before the p in tap. Now tap it and say it. Did you get tamp? If you did, that's right. Find the a in tamp. Change the a into an What's your new word? Did you say tump? If you did, that's right. Not a word I know. Let's change it into a real word. Add a new color to the very front. We're going to call that color S. What's your new word? Did you say stump? When you cut a tree down, you're left with a stump. If you did, that's right. Great job. You can put your tiles away. Let's do the visual drill. The teacher takes the card pack and flashes a card at the student. And student, you tell me the sounds of this one. It makes two different sounds. This is O, and it can make the sound O or aw, as in olive. O is the long sound, and aw is the short sound. Teacher, you can do about 6 to 8 cards in this way and then come back to me. Let's do the auditory drill. Student, your sound is qu. Can you repeat that sound? Now, what symbols make the sound qu? Write them down and say the sound as you're doing it. And when you finish, underline it and say the sound again. Did you say QU makes the sound ku? Is that K sound and the W sound? So K and W together make qu. Great job. Teacher, you can do about 6 to 8 flashcards in this way and then come back to me. It's time for the syllable card drill. Your teacher has this one cut out and all ready for you on the table. You'll begin by reading down all the syllables in column number 1, and then all the syllables in column number 2. Then you'll read across each row, making nonsense words as you go. Finally, it's time to unscramble the syllables to make real words. Take the syllables in column number 2, and those will be the ones you unscramble. Remember, as you're making real words, it's a good idea to talk about the meanings of the words and to put some of them into sentences. Let's do some syllable pounding. Student, you can do this by stretching out your arm, and every time you hear a syllable in a word, you can shoot out one of those fingers and then just count them up to find out how many syllables are in the word. Or you could keep your hand under your chin, and you could, every time a syllable happens, your jaw drops. So one syllable in the word drops. Okay, your word is heroic. How many syllables are in heroic? Heroic. I get 3. How about row? Did you say 1? If you did, that's right. How many syllables are in the word program? Can you say that word? There are 2 in that one. How about this one? Musical. Did you say 3? Musical? If you did, that's right. Great job. Now I'd like you to take out your Scooping Syllables worksheet. And teacher, you've got an eye on the time, so you know if there's time to do all the words on the page, or just you can shorten it if you need to. And student, I'd like you to talk through your thinking as you're doing this, as you're scooping the different syllables and identifying them and labeling them. Let's do a quick review of what we learned in lesson number 64. In that lesson, we were talking about suffixes, endings, things like ing and ed, and making things plural, whether it's s or es that we add. And we were discussing how the rules are different for if we're working with a base that's a closed syllable or an open syllable. When we have closed syllables, the 1-1-1 rule comes into play. When we have open syllables, well, then we have to talk about the great rule of why. And open syllables have their own special rules for adding different suffixes. Right now, could you please take out the rule cards? We got 2 rule cards in lesson number 64, and it's a good idea to have those out on the table. And teacher, in your lesson plan, there's a list of different words that the student could work on building. The teacher puts a word using magnetic letter tiles on the board. So student, could you tap and say this word? That word is go. And I would like you to tell me what type of syllable is go. Is it closed or open? Did you say open? If you did, that's right. So I would like you to turn go into goes. He goes to the store. How would you do it? And you can refer to your rule card to help you. So you can do it, and I'll do it right now too. Goes. In an open syllable, if I want to turn that into goes, I would have to add es. I can't just add s because I would run into a problem. That's incorrect because people might make the mistake of thinking that this is a closed syllable and read this as goss. So that's why we put es there. Okay, teacher, you can choose about 4 or 5 words that you'd like to work on with your student using the ones provided in the lesson plan. And you will put the base down, and then the student will form the new word by putting the suffix down and applying the correct spelling rule. Remember to discuss your thinking as you're doing it. Let's move into the new content part of the lesson. Today, the new content is not exactly new because we've discussed schwa before. Can you say that word, schwa? Well, schwa is a way that we use to speed up English. It's when we use an unexpected vowel sound. We use the lazy most often when we schwa, although there can be other sounds for different letters. For example, I is often I, that short I sound we use. Today we're going to look at when schwa is on the letter A, making the sound. What short vowel makes the sound? That is the short U, as in up. It's unexpected on the letter A because A should either say a or a. So why is it saying Well, we're lazy when we speak. We're going to do a drill to remind ourselves that when we see an open syllable A, we are going to have to discover, is it schwad or not? And often it is being schwad. So your teacher has the drill. There's 2 different drills, one with schwa on the first syllable and one with schwa on the second syllable. And you'll see that there's that upside down E symbol. And your teacher you can put that on the first syllable for the first drill and on the second syllable for the second drill. And then just tap it and say it and read the words with the sound on the A. Let's do the magnetic letter tile drill for reading. You'll need your cookie sheet with your magnetic letter tiles spread in a rainbow shape. Your sound is D. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Can you say Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Can you say I? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Now tap it and say it. I'd like you to look at what you've put down, and if this is a 1-syllable word, which it is, and it's ending in the I sound, what letter are you going to use to make that I sound? Did you spell it D-R-Y? If you did, that's right. So that word is dry. I will dry the clothes outside to save some power. I would like you to turn dry into dries. So apply that rule of Y and add your suffix. Okay, did you change the Y to an I and add ES? If you did, that's right. He dries the clothes. Now change the word back to dry. Change it back to DRY. Okay, and I would like you to change dry into dried. If I did it yesterday, I dried the clothes yesterday. So grab the correct tiles and pull them to the middle. Did you spell it D-R-I-E-D? If you did, that's right. Now, one more time, change it back to dry. And I would like you to change this word into drying. I am drying the clothes right now. So add your suffix. Did you spell it D-R-Y-I-N-G? If you did, that's right. So in this case, we don't change the Y to an I because to do that, we'd end up with two I's together. And that's one of those greater spelling rules. Dun, dun, dun. We would break English if it happened. So when we add ing to an open syllable, we just slam it on. Great job. Put your tiles away and you can get ready for your next word. Your sound is S. Can you repeat that sound? Now find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Can you say O? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. That's your first syllable, so tap it and say it. Now let's do syllable number 2. Can you say F? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And the last sound is Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Now tap it and say it. When you hear the sound at the end of the word, ding, 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 your spidey senses go off and you're thinking, is that really a short U? Because I'm looking at an open syllable here. There's no babysitter, so that doesn't make sense. So you know something's being schwad. And the most common letter to get schwad at the end of a word, it's going to be A. So that word is spelled S-O-F-A. I sat down on the sofa. Great job. Now I'd like you to take out your single word list and read every word on the sheet and then move on to your short story. Afterwards, if your teacher has added a fluency element, that's where you'll do your timed reading. Now let's do the magnetic letter tile drill for writing. You'll need your cookie sheet with your magnetic letter tiles spread in a rainbow shape. Your word is try. Can you repeat that word? I would like you to try to write the word try with your magnetic letter tiles. So what's the first sound that you hear in try? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. What's the next sound that you hear in try? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And what's the last sound that you hear in try? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Now tap it and say it. Did you spell it T-R-Y? If you did, that's right. Now turn try into trying. Find the correct tiles and pull them to the middle. Did you spell it T-R-Y-I-N-G? If you did, that's right. Try is an open syllable, and in open syllables, we just slam on ing so we don't end up with two I's side by side. We don't change the Y to an I in this case. Okay, now take away ing so that you're just left with try again. We just have our base try. I would like you to turn try into the past. Tried. He tried to do it. Did you spell it Tried? If you did, that's right. Great work. Now I'd like you to take out a lined paper and a pencil. You're going to tap out the word that I say. First you'll repeat the word, then tap out the sounds, and say the whole word, then write it down. Your word is lady. Can you repeat that word? I could say the lady was walking down the street. So how many syllables do you hear in lady? Lady. I hear 2, so let's spell it syllable by syllable. Tap it out and write down the first syllable, and then tap the second one, saying the sounds as you tap, and write it down. And when you hear that E sound at the end of a 2-syllable word, you're going to know how to write it. Did you spell it Lady? If you did, that's right. Okay. Now, if that's lady, I would like you to write ladies. Do that now. Did you change the Y to an I and add ES? So you ended up with LADIES. If you did, that's right. Okay, teacher, it's time to write some sentences. You'll read all 3 to your student. Student, you can choose the 2 that you would like to write. After you write a sentence, make sure that you check your work with CHOPS. Let's do a quick review before you go. We've been talking about the great rule of why. And we apply this. If I had a word like fly, I might say he flies up to the sky. So I would like to turn fly into flies. Student, can you explain the great rule of why to your teacher? This is where we change the Y to an I and add the ending. Unless we're talking about ing, in which case we just slam it on so that we don't end up with 2 I's together. We've also been talking about the concept of schwa. Student, can you explain schwa to your teacher? What do you know about it? Well, schwa is a way that we speed up English when we're speaking. And we often use this short U sound. And we insert in places where usually there'd be a long vowel instead. So a word like, instead of saying a go, which is harder than a go, we end up speaking incorrectly and saying a go. The writing never changes though, so that word was created with an A when it was first created, and it will stay A forevermore, no matter how we speak, how we change it when we talk. When A is schwad, it says a. When E is schwad, it says elephant. And when I is schwad, it often says I, like compliment. Great job today. That's the end of lesson 65. This is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy.